What's up, guys? This is a 1987 LT250R Suzuki. It's an old two-stroke that I've owned since about 2004, 2005, and I'm in the process of basically restoring it, mainly due to a engine failure around 2013. The engine completely grenaded, piston melted, broke the case inside, destroyed the cylinder, and this has been fully rebuilt with every gasket, bearing, seal, and even some bolts and water pump, all that brand new from Suzuki. None of it's aftermarket. I got a brand new new old stock crank rod. The crank was balanced by CT Racing, and then the head got a new sleeve from LA Sleeve. So that's gonna be a 67 millimeter factory spec. I wanted to be able to bore it out larger if I need to, if and when it needs a new piston. And so once I got that far in the motor, I decided to just tear the bike apart and send it out to powder coat. I spent too much time and money on the motor to put it back into an old frame. And then things kind of cascaded from there. So I figured, why put the stock arms back on? I'll get these long travel arms. So I ordered those up from Full Flight. These are going to be the stock arms here. So I got +2 arms and +1 caster. So hopefully it helps with the drivability. They're made to be used with factory length shocks. These bikes are known for the best handling. They're one of the first sport quads out there, so there was a lot to learn when they came out. That's why some of the other models, competitor models, are better as far as geometry and travel. I got new nets for the Nerf bars, and then small stuff here and there. Bolt kit for some of the miscellaneous bolts that'll be missing. This is all OEM style, as close as it can be, at least for the fit and finish. And I'll definitely be needing some new plastics. These plastics are tired, so I'll probably be getting some Meyer plastics. This is the seat. It's in pretty good shape. I don't plan on reupholstering it, but if some of the stains don't come out, I may. Just depends on how the bike looks when it comes out. It had this FMF baddie on it with a silencer. That thing's used and abused. The bike's old and tired, so I might just sell that and get a CT pipe and spark arrestor. Here we have a radiator and black silicone hose set, and this is going to be the rear swing arm with the linkage for the rear shock. I'm going to keep all that stock. I'll probably put a Durablue axle in the rear. I don't know what the state of this axle is. I know when I used to push it around the house, this was like wobbling on the rotor, so or on the brake pads. So it's probably just a bent rotor, maybe not a bent axle, but I'm going to change it anyways. The Durablue axle you can adjust to +2 or +4. So I'm gonna get that axle, and let's see, what else do we have? We've got motor mounts here. I've got the front bumper, rear grab bar. The air box has a big old hole in it from being melted, so that's gonna have to get replaced. And these are the old wheels for it. There's 3 of them in good condition. My cousin bent one of them, so it's a little dinged up. So that's kind of why this thing's sitting on it. But they'll probably just be rollers to roll it around, and I'll get some better wheels and tires. All this stuff is very, very old. I mean, those tires were on there when I got the bike way back when. So everything just needs to get refreshed. Starting with this, reassembling it, I'll need to tap all the threads with the tap set. I need to chase them all and get all the powder coat out. They asked if I wanted them to tape it up, but I told them no. It'd be a cleaner job to just powder coat it all, and I'll just chase everything myself. The only thing I had them tape up was the cylinder for the bushing for the steering stem. But there's a lot to come. This thing has a lot before it gets back, a lot of work before it gets back on the road. And the motor, I've been chipping away at it since 2019, so I'm really excited of where it's gone. As far as the finish of it, I wasn't expecting to go this far at all. It's just slowly but surely, you do one thing to the best of your abilities, and there's no point in cutting corners. So the only bad thing about that is I wasn't filming anything. I was just doing it on my own in the garage, so I don't really have any footage, but I do have some pictures, so I'll drop the pictures in so you can see some of the progress and how bad it was when I first took it apart. But other than that, yeah, we're just gonna get started on this and hopefully get it rolling around, because it's taking up a bunch of space in the garage and I need to finish it up. All right, I'm gonna start with the peg bolts. So you can see here, this is the old bolt. There's so much powder coat in there. You know, you do one turn and it's stuck. So we're gonna clean those up first and go from there, all right? Well, that took some time, but all of these threaded bungs on the frame, front to back, are addressed. Everything's tapped, all that powder coat's taken out. I was having a little bit of a hard time with the thread, or the tap and die set that I have. This is a re-threading, kind of like a chasing for something that's already clean. I had to resort to using a screw that had a smaller tip and it's serrated, so it acts like a cutter, kind of like a traditional tap and die set, just to begin some of these, because for whatever reason this more blunt tip didn't want to start the cut. So by using this thinner neck to go in that's serrated, it cleans up some of the uneven texture, which was the powder coat, and started the clean tap. So I did that with these larger bolts, and I had the same problem with some of the smaller M6. So again, this is really blunt and straight. Luckily I had one of these in the spare bin box. You see it's got little serrations on there. It acted like a little cutter to clean out the powder coat from the threads. So that's all done. I've got to start cleaning up the parts. For example, let's see, we've got the brake lever there that could go back on, the rear caliper, master cylinder. I could definitely throw the radiator on, some of the electronics, the CDI box, all that stuff needs to be cleaned. I've got this rear latch for the seat, just needs to be cleaned and I can get it put back on. So small things, hopefully it'll clear up the garage a bit and start organizing some of this chaos. But stay tuned for part 2. We should have some more of the actual cleaned up parts getting put on the chassis, and I need to address some of these arm misalignment spacers. So these barely fit on, they were very tight. These arms on this side, there's a gap between them. They weren't true to size to the frame, so I'll have to modify some by cutting them down and then shimming the opposite end where it didn't want to line up. I don't really want to bend the arms to fit. They're built on jigs. These are built with a tolerance from the assembly line, so I can see where there's a mix up here and there. If there's a difference from this frame and the frame they built those arms off of. So there's always going to be something with modified parts, but nothing we can't fix. So that'll be on part 2.